All right, YouTube, we back with another one, man. Closing in on Glocktober, getting close to the end. So I figured I'd try to pump out a few more videos before the month is over. And today I just wanted to show y'all something real quick. Basically, I guess you could call it a topic of debate, because this is a big ass gun. Obviously, it's not the smallest gun. As y'all know, I just picked up a Glock 34. If you haven't been keeping up with the channel. And today I just actually got this in the mail. I bought another X300. If you don't know, I'm real big on lights. I love to run lights on all my pistols. It's something that I picked up on over time, not something that I started out liking, to be honest. I actually thought it was tacky at first, but over time I kind of learned to like it and kind of see if it was for me. So, I pretty much started out with O lights, worked my way up to the TRLs, the TR1s, the 7 subs, the stream lights, and then eventually getting my way over to the Surefire, the deep pockets, if that's what you want to call it, because these things are not cheap, man. These things will put a hole in your pocket. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. I don't recommend nobody to go out and spend that type of money on a light. Me personally, I'm kind of just like a sucker for them already. I got one on my 19X, and that one I run it on there. That's kind of just stationary with that gun. I know I could have swapped it out, but to be honest, when I got the black one, I wanted to get it in FDE. I don't know if that's what you would call this one. They call this one the tan or the FDE. I don't know what color it is after getting it in person. Pretty much, you can kind of see that it's like almost like a grayish tone to it, but the camera doesn't really do justice. It does have a tannish like finish to it on the buttons more. But yeah, man, pretty much I want to make this video because I got this light so that I can accommodate it to carry it in my MSP tier 1 holster, because that's a universal holster, and I'm gonna pull that out in a second so y'all can see that that's what I carry my 19X in. But it'll pretty much attach to it'll be able to holster any weapon that's attached with a X300, as you see here, which brings me to my point of why I got this, and also my point of why I say that it doesn't matter how big the gun is, because a lot of y'all buy micro compacts. I don't have none against that. I had a Glock 26, and I had that gun for about, I think I want to say about 2 years. So I carried a Glock 26 long enough to know that micro compacts are good guns to carry. There's nothing wrong with them. I just personally am not the biggest fan of them. As I've grown to understand firearms more, I just come to find the realization that I just like full-size guns. I like compact. Glock 19 is probably the smallest I will go, me personally. And the only reason why I was going to get the 26X is because it has the full-size grip. But like I said, to build that out for me, being as I don't have my 26 anymore, it just would have cost an enormous amount of money that it wouldn't have even been worth it. So pretty much I wanted something like the 34, and that's why I got it. But now that I got it, I can finally show you that it doesn't matter how big the gun is, because a lot of y'all look at the barrel length when that really doesn't matter, because that part, if you're carrying in the waistband especially, that part on YouTube, we are clear. There's nothing in the mag, as you can see. This gun is empty. Triggers depressed. We are clear. There's no magazine in here. So yeah, like I was saying, y'all, pretty much this part is being concealed in the waistband like that. The only part that's really coming out is the handle. And if you look at the handle, well, it's pretty much a Glock 17, just with an extended barrel. So it's possible to conceal a Glock 34. And there's a lot of people on YouTube to prove that. I just got this gun. I haven't even shot it, so I'm not carrying it as of right now. But eventually this will be in my rotation to EDC it. Maybe not every day, because, I have my Glock 32 that I pretty much EDC, and my 19X, I kind of go rotate between those two. So pretty much I'll just be rotating through these 3 guns because they're all Glocks, so they're very familiar. It's pretty much like I'm carrying the same gun, just in different sizes. And, I don't have an issue with that. But this is going to kind of be like pretty much my competition / duty EDC pistol, if that's what you want to call it. I don't know what y'all mean by duty these days. I see a lot of people saying that they building out duty guns. I'm not law enforcement, so I don't consider this to be any type of duty weapon, because I'm not in that field. But, I will call it a duty EDC if that's what you want to say. But I do carry in the waistband. I don't carry out the waistband. I prefer in the waistband carry. But this would be, yeah, like I said, an EDC / competition, because I'm looking into 2026 to probably get into shooting like competitively. I'm still on the fence about it. And that's another reason why I'm happy that I got the 34, why I acquired one of these, because if I do want to get into competition, this is the perfect gun. All I'm missing is the optic, and that's going to be coming pretty soon. That's the next addition to this gun that I will be adding on here. And like I said, that's pretty much it. Like I said, did I need the short fire? No. But at the end of the day, I pretty much like to stick my weapon lights with the weapon that it's attached for. And that's it. Not into really swapping things out and stuff like that. Not saying that I'm gonna buy a short fire for every gun that I have, but I just like it because I can run it with the same holster, which is, like I said, the MSP holster right here that you see. And I don't want to be having to take off the light every time that I want to carry the gun, because I screw these on here pretty tight with the flathead. I kind of go a little bit more, kind of clock it just a little bit more. After you finger tight it, it can come loose. So I found that when I tighten it just a tad bit more with the flathead, not too much, because you could mess up your frame if you tighten this light too much. So just a little bit more, clock it, and it's on there. It's not coming off. I've shot my Glock 19X with my short fire for hundreds, thousands of rounds. Not hundreds of thousands, hundreds or thousands of rounds without it coming loose, unless I take it off to clean it, wipe the lens down. But otherwise, that thing is not coming off. So yeah, pretty much this holster will run with any gun that has an X300 attached to it. So like I said, I'm just not into, swapping the light out every time I want to carry a different gun with the short fire on it. Pretty much, I've only got 3 handguns at the moment. Do I plan on adding more in the future? Yeah, probably. But for right now, at least I know that I can run these 2 pistols back to back. Was it the smartest thing for me to go out and get this light, another one? Probably not. But who's counting at the end of the day? It is what it is, right? So yeah, pretty much it goes right in. As you can see, you can hear that nice click that we all like to hear when we holster our weapons. It's in there. It's not coming out, as you can see. It's flush in there, and that's what it looks like. And then I also have the spare right here, so I can attach my spare magazine. And this is going in the waistband. This holster is very slim, as you can see the profile on it. It's not a big holster at all, even with the extra rig setup with the holster, the additional holster holder. This is not a big holster by any means. Like, it may look large, but when you're actually carrying this thing, you almost don't even feel it. And with the wedge clips right here, it's very comfortable. If you have to bend over to grab something or bend down to tie your shoe or anything whatsoever, pretty much this right here is going to help you. So like I said, this is one of the most comfortable holsters I've ever owned. And I've had my fair share of holsters, but I like the MSP because, like I said, it's a universal holster. It can accommodate all my X300s. As long as I got it attached to the gun that I'm carrying, it goes in with no problem. But this is just so you can see how massive the 34 is. This holster kind of dwarfs it. If you're looking at this right now, you won't even know it's a 34. You think it's a 17 or even a 47. So don't get discouraged when people say that these guns are not practical to carry, because a full-size gun is practical to carry. And look how big that handle is. So God forbid, if you need to use this in a self-defense situation, you're not going to have a problem finding this handle. Even if you're not looking, by muscle memory, you'll be able to grip this handle. It's a full-size handle. It'll be much easier than if you were carrying something like a micro compact or micro EDCs, whatever y'all want to call them. But I've seen that that's pretty much taking the gun industry by storm nowadays. And full size is almost like non-existent for most people that I watch content on about carrying. I don't see too much content about people carrying with full size guns, especially let alone a 34, which is, bigger than your average 4.5, 5-inch barrel. This is like almost a 5.5-inch barrel, probably just slightly smaller. I don't have the exact specs on it. I don't really get into specs on this channel, but I noticed it's somewhere just over the 5-inch mark. So like I said, yes, you see how long the slide is. Yes, it's an extended slide, obviously. But when this thing is hosted in here, like I said, you're going to think that it's a G17. You're not going to know that this is a 34 by looking at it like this. It almost looks like a 17, or like I said, even a 47, even a 45, because even the Glock 45 has the full-size handle. So pretty much what I'm saying, yes, you can EDC at 34. I've never carried a 34, but hell, I had a Ruger 5.7, and that had a 5-inch barrel, and I concealed carry that with no issues. That was my first, actually, my first carry, first EDC was a Ruger 5.7, and this is actually a little bit bigger than the Ruger 5.7. So just so you can see, the gun has a pretty slim profile for being a Glock. Yes, I know a lot of y'all say Glocks are thick or too big, bulky, whatever you want to call it. But to me, this one just has the perfect frame. Sorry about that, man. The freaking tension on this holster is crazy. I got to yank it out. But the profile on this gun is relatively slim. At least for me, it feels that way opposed to other Glocks that I had. And I think it's just because the extended slide, it just kind of, I don't know, it just looks slimmer. It feels slimmer in the hands, and I actually like that. Like, the gun itself is actually very light. Yes, I don't have a loaded mag in here, but even just like this, you can tell the difference from even my Glock 32 feels kind of hefty in the hand, even without a magazine. But this gun may be big, like I said, but it is carryable. You can EDC this, and that's all pretty much why I wanted to make this video, so that y'all can see that even with a full-size light and even with the optic's not really going to add much more bulk to it. Probably just a little bit up here, but that's not really going to matter when you're carrying in a waistband. Once again, if you get the right holster, you won't print. And like I said, I don't really care even too much about printing. That's something that I just kind of like let go a long time ago, because that's just like a theory to all, gun people, or I don't even like that term, gun people, but, people that are in the firearm community, I see that conversation going around a lot, that topic about printing. And in reality, it doesn't really matter if people see you printing or not. Most of the time, somebody sees that you have some type of thing printing. Most of the time I'm in public, people are not even looking at me, or even let alone paying attention. Yeah, I'm sure there's some people that might be aware and things like that, but the average person is not even going to be looking at your waistband, let alone your t-shirt, to see if you're printing. But I promise you, with this tier 1 holster, as long as you're wearing, it doesn't even matter what you're wearing. I carry this thing with ball shorts. You know what I mean? So either way, you're gonna conceal very well with this holster. So yes, it does matter what holster you carry, especially if you want to carry something big like this. Amazon holster just ain't gonna cut it. And I'm not knocking Amazon. I've had holsters off Amazon. When I first got into guns, my first holster for my 19X was off of Amazon, but that thing just didn't have any good retention, and it printed a lot because it was a bulky holster. You know what I mean? So something like this with a slimmer profile, even with the sidecar on it, you're not gonna print. Like I said, I guarantee you try this on, if you have an MSP or a tier 1 Access Elite, and there's other companies out there. I'm not just abiding by tier 1, but I'm only saying that because I have one, and I've had this holster for over a year now, and I've carried it a lot, and it's a very comfortable holster. I've carried it all day, sometimes a few hours, just depends on the occasion. And like I said, with this gun, it's not really gonna matter, because I'm looking at this gun basically like my 19X, just slightly longer, because I have the Ram Jet, so my 19X is really a 47/17. So this is not much bigger. And at the end of the day, even if it is, think about it. I have an X300 on my 19X, which protrudes a lot further than the barrel. And as you can see here with the 34, it looks like it's aligned with it. It's slightly coming out just past the barrel. So with that being said, basically what I'm trying to say is, if you can conceal this light, it doesn't even matter what size this slide is, because the light comes out further than the barrel anyway, and the slide. So even if it was slightly bigger or whatever, the light still passes the slide. The light still passes the slide length, which means that that's really what you're concealing, in all honesty. So which brings me to my next point, that if you can conceal with a big light, then you can conceal a big gun. So yeah, the 34 might be extended, as I've already said a million times in this video. By the time if y'all made it this far already, it's possible to carry a big gun. That's just my point. If you like full-size guns, don't get discouraged by what the gun community says. Everybody kind of just rides a bandwagon, and I know micro compacts is the new it. I get it, and like I said, I like micro compacts. They a lot of these companies are making really good guns. I'm a fan of all the, the 43Xs and the Hellcats. I just personally, for me, that's just not my first take. I prefer full size. Do I want to get a 43X? Yeah, I've had a Glock 48 clone, which was the micro dagger. So I actually don't mind those type of guns. You know what I mean? It's just not something that I flock to, basically. You know, my thing is just full size, and that's something that you learn over time when you get into firearms. You might start out liking full size and end up liking smaller guns. You might start off with smaller guns and end up liking bigger guns. You know what I mean? It just really depends. I'm not saying that you're wrong in either way, but I just see a lot of people getting discouraged when it comes to carrying a full-size weapon just because of what other people are saying on the internet. And in reality, it doesn't matter what anyone says. It's really about what you want. If you want to carry, you know, a 7-inch Desert Eagle, 6-inch Desert Eagle, then be my guest. You know, if you can conceal it, why not? But my whole point that I'm making is that even though this is an extended length gun and this is probably not geared towards EDC, there are plenty of people out there that are concealed carrying Glock 34s, hell, even Glock 17Ls, which has a 6-inch barrel. So don't let anybody tell you that you can't, because concealing a Glock 34 is easier than you think. For me, it's going to feel right at home because, like I said, I carry my 19 next with the Ramjet, and that's basically a Glock 17 now. So this is not much bigger than that. A few inches more, which, like I said, I won't tell because the slide is the part that you're concealing. The grip's not going to matter because the grip is the same size as pretty much the 17, the 17L, the 34. Well, this is the 34, the 19 next, the 45, the 47. So I can go on all day with this. You know, I don't want to keep ranting because I don't want to make the video much longer. But y'all get my point, is that pretty much full-size carry is possible. With the right holster, you'll be golden. You won't have to worry about even printing, you know. But if printing is something that is a concern for you, but either way, for me, I don't care too much about printing because sometimes it's inevitable, especially if you're wearing like a smaller shirt. Most of the time I try to wear fitted shirts, which actually help with concealing a big gun, even if you don't have the best holster, because the shirt will fly right over the holster. There's so many ways around, you know, concealed carry, man. Maybe I'll make another video kind of showing me how I conceal carry, you know, my big guns and how I make it look easy, because a lot of people don't believe me that I carry full size every day, almost every day. If I'm not carrying my compact, I'm carrying a full size. I don't have anything smaller than that. So for the most part, I'm always carrying a nice size weapon, you know. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I don't want to make this video too much longer. Like I said, if there's anything else y'all want to know, man, just hit me up in the comments. We are approaching the end of Glocktober. As y'all see, I got my Halloween Michael Myers edition tier 1 holster out, but I do rock this all year round. I'm a Halloween fanatic, so for me, every day is Halloween with this holster. So I really don't mind it because the combination is just sick with the orange tie straps on it. I feel like that they knocked it out the park with this design, man. And I don't know if they came back with it this year, but I would say if you have the extra funds sitting around, man, that's not the cheapest holster. I would say definitely if you plan on just concealing with one light, which is what I resorted to. I only have one type of light now. Then I would say definitely the holster's worth it. But yeah, like I said, man, I'm going to end the video here, man. If there's anything y'all want to know, just hit me up, man. Otherwise, y'all be safe out there. I'm going to catch you on the next one.